Welcome into the Oklahoman's video studio for the weekend review. A look at the stories that were, the headlines that will be, that you can find in your Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. I'm Dave Morris, trying to fill in for the big shoes from Philip O'Connor of MSNBC fame. Josh, is he on vacation? Where is Phil today?
No idea where Phil is at.
Phil is not here, so I'm going to guide this conversation. It was a crazy week in the news. Started with Nazis in the headlines. Nazis, of all things. A scary reminder of the Oklahoma City bombing, and then we'll look ahead to the solar eclipse coming up on Monday. We will find out if these three people from the Oklahoma's newsroom are superstitious. Frankly, I'm not. I'll just throw that spoiler alert out there. Brianna Bailey, Josh Dulaney, and Meg Wingerter join us here to talk about the case of Jerry Varnell. And Brianna, I will start with you for the basics of this story. We get an email from the FBI Monday morning saying that, hey, we've apprehended a guy who tried to blow up the Bank First Bank downtown over last weekend.
Yeah, so we obviously knew this was going to be a big story immediately. Anytime you have a guy with a truck full of ammonium nitrate in downtown Oklahoma City, that's kind of a big deal here. And
a scary reminder of what we went through back in 1995 as well.
Yes, and this was a sort of FBI sting operation. The FBI identified this guy from a confidential informant who was working with him, who was a paid informant, by the way.
Have we learned any more about that angle, paid informant, or what the FBI is saying about this?
This is a common tactic that the FBI uses in these sorts of sting operations. They do pay informants for information on potential terrorists, and it's a pattern, a common FBI tactic they've used since 9/11.
Gotcha. FBI had a press conference Monday afternoon, kind of outlining what they knew about it, including the paid informant. And then Jerry Varnell was in court later that afternoon, and you were there.
Yes, he made his first appearance in court, and he's got a public defender. And he looked like a normal young man. He looked very kind of scared. Honestly, he had a beard, sort of scruffy brown hair, glasses, and it was a very brief appearance, like all these kinds of first appearances in court are. And he just answered a few questions. Was very soft-spoken in his responses to the judge, and it's going to be set for a preliminary hearing where we should find out a lot more about the evidence against him next week.
Gotcha. As you saw there, illustrations from the courtroom, and that's where Brianna was on Monday afternoon. Cameras were not allowed in, so our Todd Pendleton took the pen and paper, went in there and sketched out some illustrations. Pretty cool. The family has responded. Meg, we'll turn to you. With a response on Tuesday afternoon, I believe, a pretty in-depth, well-written, well-spoken response talking about the mental health angle here. And what do we know about that?
Well, according to his family members, Mr. Varnell has schizophrenia, and they alleged that the FBI essentially led him down the path of participating in a plot, that they hadn't heard him express anti-government views, and that this isn't something he would have done without being led to that. Now, obviously, at this point, there's a lot we don't know. We haven't yet seen details on what he's alleged to have done. And it's worth pointing out that many people have schizophrenia and don't participate in plots like Mr. Varnell's alleged to have done. So this shouldn't be used to paint a broad brush of about people who have this illness. Some
of the reporting you've done throughout the week and ahead on the weekend, you spoke with various experts from Mental Health Oklahoma and other physicians and doctors. What have we learned about schizophrenia?
Well, the most prominent symptom is it causes delusions or hallucinations. There are also various other symptoms that a person can have. And without knowing more, it isn't really clear what role that may have played. For example, a person may have delusions, say that the government is trying to control their thoughts, which could contribute to a decision to possibly take a violent act. On the other hand, a person could also have views that aren't really related to their mental illness. They could, if they're being well treated, be fairly grounded in reality, but still have more extreme views. So there's a lot we just still don't know about how his illness may have played into this case.
What about the parents, the family? Are they speaking with the media?
They released a statement outlining how they felt that their son was steered toward participating, and that they believed the informant was not credible and may have misrepresented, for example, that a storage unit on their property was on an underground bunker.
Right, that was what we heard Monday, was that there was a bunker on the property. They came back and said, actually, it's storage with dirt thrown against it.
Yes.
That sort of thing. Josh Dulaney, will bring you in at this point from the legal side of things. Who have you spoken with? The mental health angle, entrapment's a word that might come up.
Right. Legal experts, former attorneys, a U.S. attorney, and also the ACLU. What Meg just described is actually very common in the country. These operations are. Former U.S. attorney said he has not seen a case where it was where entrapment was proven. It's just very rare. Now, in some cases, the judges will agree that the government has sort of created or helped out these operations, through undercover agents and whatnot, but yet they will still strike down the claims for entrapment. So it's really difficult.
Interesting stuff. Again, the preliminary hearing is scheduled for Tuesday. We should say Jerry Varnell has pleaded not guilty. Brianna, is that the next turn of the crank on this story, that the preliminary hearing on Tuesday?
Yes, we should find out more about the evidence. There should be testimony at the preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing is where the prosecution kind of lays out the case against the defendant, and the judge can decide if there's enough evidence to move forward.
Interesting stuff. Full coverage of this case can be found, this story can be found in the Oklahoman every day and online at newsok.com, including video of the various interviews that my colleagues have conducted over the past week. Let me talk about the weekend. What do you guys have in weekend editions? Stories, videos, anything?
Well, our piece on the whole legal
you're going to share
angle.
the byline on this.
Yeah,
all
we're gonna share a byline. Yeah, flipped a coin.
Very nice.
Actually, we didn't. Probably should though. Yeah.
On the legal side of things, that's what you're getting at here.
Yeah, on the legal side of things. Yeah.
Meg, anything for the weekend?
I have two stories coming up. One
Just showing off, guys. She's got two.
One about the possible re-traumatization for people who had severe psychological impacts from the 1995 bombing. How even though no one was hurt in this case, this could bring back some of those feelings and memories. And the second one is just about how to keep your eyes safe if you're going to watch the eclipse on Monday.
Perfect segue right there. She's golden at this.
What is this eclipse thing?
It's where the moon blocks out the sun, and it happens Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon. Okay.
Lots of superstitions tied in historically with eclipses. Anybody here have any sort of superstitions?
I usually wear binoculars during fire.
Which actually is not a good idea because it concentrates the light. So that could, if you're going to watch the eclipse, use the approved glasses.
I always wear binoculars.
Any superstitions though? Afraid of clowns, porcelain
I don't
dolls?
stare directly at the sun.
You
during the
don't
eclipse.
stare.
I heard that's bad luck.
It's bad luck. All right, Meg, anything?
I believe in if you're don't take a chance if you don't have to. Probably the Ouija board isn't going to conjure up anything, but you really want to find out if it does.
Good stuff. All right, we'll end it right there. Again, these stories and more can be found in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. Guys, thanks so much. Best of luck to the two of you rowing this weekend. Josh, will we ever see you out there in a raft?
Do they provide beer?
There is a full-service restaurant on site.
You
So
have to pay for it.
Oh.
It's not provided.
Provided.
Do you have to row to it though?
It's nearby.
Okay. I don't want to have to
There's-
work that hard for it.
There's a rule that the first person who falls out of the boat has to buy the first round. So if you
Yeah, I
can stay in the
probably
boat,
shouldn't be
you get
there.
a free beer.
Yeah, yeah.
Always a good discussion here in the Weekend Review. It'll be back next Friday, along with Mr. Philip O'Connor. These stories and more again, the Oklahoman Online at newsok.com.